Once upon a time, there was a tiny drop of water. It lived in a beautiful blue lake, surrounded by tall trees and colorful flowers. The little drop of water was content, and it loved being a part of the lake. One day, the sun came up, and it was hot outside. The tiny drop of water felt its warmth, and suddenly it started to evaporate. It felt like it was disappearing into thin air. The tiny drop of water was scared, but it didn't have any control over what was happening. The tiny drop of water had turned into vapor and was now floating in the air. It felt light and weightless, and it drifted along with the wind. As it traveled higher into the sky, it started to cool down. Suddenly, the tiny drop of water felt like it was getting heavier. Then something magical happened. The tiny drop of water joined with other vapor droplets in the sky, and they formed a cloud. The cloud was big and fluffy, and it was moving around the sky. The tiny drop of water felt happy to be a part of the cloud. As the cloud moved, it started to get heavier and darker. Suddenly, the tiny drop of water felt like it was falling. It was raining. The tiny drop of water fell down to the ground and landed in a river. The river was flowing fast, and the tiny drop of water felt like it was being tossed around. But the tiny drop of water was strong, and it held on. It flowed down the river, past mountains and valleys. It met other tiny drops of water and joined them. Together, they formed a big stream, and they kept flowing. Eventually, the tiny drop of water reached the ocean. It was salty, and the tiny drop of water didn't like it at first. But then it realized that it was a part of something big and important. The ocean was vast, and it was full of life. The tiny drop of water stayed in the ocean for a long time. It watched the waves and the fish and the boats. It was happy to be a part of such a beautiful place. But then, one day, the sun came up again, and the tiny drop of water started to evaporate once more. The tiny drop of water was scared again, but it knew that it had been through this before. It turned into vapor, and it floated back up into the sky. It joined with other droplets and formed a cloud once more. The cloud rained down on the ground, and the tiny drop of water landed back in the lake where it had started. The tiny drop of water had completed its journey through the water cycle, and it was proud of itself. It had been through evaporation, condensation, precipitation, and collection. It had seen and experienced so much, and it was happy to be back where it belonged. For more updates, subscribe Stories for Kids Hub.